Ryan had always been a quiet and introverted child. He was content spending most of his time reading books or playing video games, and he didn't seem to have many friends. He lived in a small house in a quiet neighborhood with his parents, who seemed like the typical working-class family. Ryan's mother was a high school teacher, and his father was a successful lawyer. They both worked long hours and often seemed stressed and tired when they came home. Ryan had always assumed that their work was the reason for their exhaustion. Despite their parents' busy schedules, Ryan and his younger sister were well taken care of. They always had food on the table, clean clothes to wear, and a roof over their heads. Ryan had never really questioned his family situation until one day he noticed something strange. He started to notice that his parents were acting differently. They seemed to be more irritable, and sometimes they would disappear for hours on end. Ryan didn't know what to make of it, but he knew that something wasn't right. One day, Ryan came home from school early because he wasn't feeling well. He went straight to his room, hoping to take a nap and feel better. But as he entered his room, he noticed something strange. The walls were covered in black mold, and the floor was littered with dirty clothes and trash. The smell was overwhelming, a combination of stale food and urine. Ryan was shocked. He had never realized how bad his room was until he saw it through the eyes of someone else. He realized that his parents had been neglecting him, and he felt angry and hurt. Over the next few weeks, Ryan started paying more attention to his parents' behavior. He noticed that they would often lock themselves in their bedroom and argue loudly. He heard things being thrown and broken, and sometimes he could hear them talking about getting high. Ryan started to feel scared. He didn't know what to do, but he knew that he had to act. He remembered hearing about calling 911 in emergencies, and he wondered if his situation qualified as an emergency. Ryan hesitated for a long time before he finally picked up the phone and dialed 911. He hoped that someone would come and help him and his family, but he also knew that calling the police could have serious consequences. Little did he know that one phone call would change his life forever. When the police arrived at Ryan's house, they found him waiting anxiously outside. He told them about the mold in his room and his parents' strange behavior. The officers listened carefully and took notes as Ryan spoke. One of the officers, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes, put a hand on Ryan's shoulder and reassured him that everything would be okay. She asked if he could take them inside and show them his room. Ryan led the officers through the house, feeling embarrassed about the state of the place. He knew that his parents had been neglectful, but he hadn't realized how bad things had gotten until he saw the look of shock on the officers' faces. The mold in Ryan's room was worse than he had thought, and the rest of the house wasn't much better. There were piles of dirty dishes in the kitchen, empty beer cans on the living room floor, and a strong smell of marijuana coming from his parents' bedroom. The officers asked Ryan to wait outside while they spoke to his parents. Ryan could hear his parents yelling and arguing with the officers, but he couldn't make out what they were saying. He felt a sense of dread in the pit of his stomach, knowing that his parents were in trouble. But at the same time, he felt a glimmer of hope that things might finally get better. After what felt like an eternity, the officers emerged from the house. They looked grim as they approached Ryan, and he could tell that something was wrong. "We're going to need to take your parents into custody," the woman officer said, her voice gentle but firm. "They've been endangering your welfare and violating several laws." Ryan's heart sank. He had hoped that things could be resolved without his parents getting arrested. He felt guilty and scared, wondering what would happen next. The officers reassured Ryan that they would take care of him and his sister and that they would find a safe place for them to stay. They took Ryan and his sister to a nearby police station and gave them food and water. Ryan felt numb as he sat in the police station, waiting for his parents to be processed. He didn't know what the future held for him, but he knew that his life would never be the same again. As Ryan waited at the police station, he began to feel overwhelmed by everything that had happened. He wondered how his parents had let things get so out of hand and why they had neglected him and his sister for so long. After several hours, the officers informed Ryan that his parents had been taken into custody and that he and his sister would be placed in temporary foster care. Ryan felt a sense of relief knowing that he and his sister would be safe, but he also felt a deep sadness at the thought of being separated from his parents. The next few days were a blur of interviews with social workers and visits to different foster homes. Ryan and his sister were eventually placed with a family who seemed nice enough, but Ryan couldn't help feeling like he was in a strange and unfamiliar place. Despite everything that had happened, Ryan still missed his parents and longed to see them again. He knew that what they had done was wrong, but he couldn't help feeling a sense of loyalty and love towards them. As the weeks passed, Ryan and his sister began to adjust to their new life. They made new friends at school and started to feel more comfortable in their foster home, but Ryan still couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing from his life. One day, as Ryan was walking home from school, he saw a familiar face on the street corner. It was his father, who had been released from custody and was now living in a nearby homeless shelter. Ryan felt a surge of emotions as he approached his father. He was angry that his father had let things get so out of hand, but he was also relieved to see him again. Over the next few weeks, Ryan visited his father at the shelter, bringing him food and clothes and trying to understand what had happened. His father explained that he had been struggling with addiction and depression and that he hadn't known how to ask for help. Ryan felt a sense of compassion towards his father and vowed to help him get back on his feet. He started attending Al-Anon meetings and reading books about addiction and recovery. He also began to forgive his mother, who had been undergoing treatment for her own mental health issues. In the end, Ryan's family was reunited, stronger and more resilient than ever before. They had faced their problems head-on and had come out the other side with a newfound sense of hope and determination.